Hi there. Hope you guys are doing really, really well. My name is Brian. I am your queer psychic bestie, and I have a reading for you guys. This is going to be a mid month check in for the sign of Libra. So, if you have Libra anywhere in your chart, maybe you vibe with Libras, you could be a cross watcher. This reading may resonate for you. This is for the month of July 2025. Um, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that through email and form submission on my website. As always, take what resonates, leave what does not. But let's see, Libra, what's going on for you. We are not going to be doing a structured spread for you this month, for the mid-month. We are going to do 6 cards. We are going to see where the energy takes me, clarify them too as we go, and just see where your guides want to go with this, what they want to talk about, things like that, Libra. What's blocking you, what's the energies around you, etc., etc. So let's get one more. Your cards are like really coming out very slowly in this reading, Libra. So when cards come out really slow, it is usually an indicator that we're feeling a bit stuck. The energy is stagnant. So you may be feeling right now like things are moving a little bit in slow motion. Like things are not happening at the pace that you really want them to. But I do feel like the way I'm hearing it is that you're being prepared for something here. But let's see what's going on. Let's talk about your challenge. Oh, we got a rough challenge, Libra. Bottom of the deck represents our challenge because it represents what we're not seeing, what we're not looking at. We've got the Devil, the Lovers, and the Three of Swords here. So for a lot of you, this challenge is going to be very heavily centered around wounds that you have endured, most likely through romantic relationships we will be talking about. I stuttered on that. And the fact that it seems like you're struggling to get rid of them. You're struggling to move past them. Okay, with with the King of Wands in the background there as well in your challenge, some of you maybe have re-entered the dating arena recently. You may be coming across people that are passionate about you, people that make you feel passionate. King of Wands is very charismatic, and I feel like it's bringing up a lot of old stuff from your past here, like some old wounds that you haven't settled with. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it, Libra. You start with the Hierophant and the Three of Pentacles. So there's almost like this feeling here of the way my guides are giving this to me is a little bit odd, but I'm going to try and explain it. Like needing to work with the triggers and not against them. So the way my guides are saying this is that the triggers are almost like a roadmap to what's actually bothering you, right? If someone shows up and they trigger us and they spark our self-rejection, boom, there's your roadmap. Okay, I have to work on self-acceptance. I have to work on, why am I not able to accept and love myself in every single part of who I am. Okay, with the Hierophant and the Three of Pentacles here, I feel like for some of you guys, you were raised to combat your triggers. Like there's almost this feeling here of some of you could have like really problematic upbringings of like why are you feeling that? That's so stupid. You know what I mean? Like some of you could have had parents that were like squashers, I call them, when parents kind of like make us really small when they squash us. It creates this like, the way my guys are giving this to me is like pocket of insecurity where like we feel like we can't actually feel what we're feeling and express what we're feeling because there's kind of like this ingrained shame in that, right? Because we had parents that were like, oh, why do you feel that way? That's really dumb of you. I feel like I want to remind you, for those of you that these were parents, I want to remind you that hurt people, obviously. I'm not here to tell you to make excuses for people. I will never tell you to do that. But what I will tell you is to understand that this is a problem on those people's ends. This is not a problem on your end, Libra. This is not, you didn't do anything wrong. This wasn't something that was wrong with you. The way I'm hearing it is actually like you were literally a kid, like you were learning. The way my guides are also giving this to me is like when we're younger, we watch people for social cues. We watch people to kind of see what they're going to do, how they're going to react to certain things. Then we kind of pick up and follow after that for those stressors. And it feels like for a lot of you it's like you watched the people around you go through stress and then you mimicked it, but the way that you mimicked it was to diminish yourself, was to make yourself smaller, be like, oh, that doesn't matter. I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here. The way my guides want me to say this also is like, if your emotions are asking for it, it's not too big. You know, like if you're experiencing a breakup, let's say you had a breakup 6 years ago and you're still not over it and you cry about it today, that's not ridiculous. Okay, this is not a moment where you should be judging yourself because you're like, oh, that was 6 years ago, I need to get over it. If your emotions are asking it of you, give it. Okay, there is like a lot of ingrained like shame that I feel like you guys have here. About like expressing your emotions, specifically heartbreak and specifically sadness. You know, you've got in your clarifiers, we've got the Four of Pentacles, the World, and the Chariot. It feels like for some of you, you may have moved. The World and the Chariot is like a really big physical relocation, so you may not live where you grew up, but with that Four of Pentacles here, I am here with some bad news, babe. Emotional problems follow us. Okay, emotional problems, they don't go away just because we left the state or even the country or whatever, the continent, wherever you go in this world. Okay, the emotional problems will keep following you, Libra. The example I'll give you is like I was raised in a similar manner and I moved from New York to Pennsylvania, and when I moved to Pennsylvania, all the emotional stuff that I hadn't let go of just followed me. All it did was rear its ugly head again, this time in a different fucking state. Okay, woohoo. You know, it feels like some of you are really struggling with this because you're like, well, I'm not in the physical location. Like, I should be able to move on from it. I'm going to ask you, you may not be in the physical location, but when was the last time you unpacked it? Some of you need to remember that when we have trauma and grief and all these things, we put them into almost like a mental box and then we store it somewhere, right? We put it in the attic, we put it in the basement, we put it in a closet, whatever it may be for you. And you put that box somewhere. Most likely you cover it up. You put stuff in front of it. You add things to distract yourself from what's actually there. Okay? And it feels like, Libra, in your mid-month, you're being asked to really clear out the closet, wherever this is, and take this box out and look at it. Okay? It feels like you may have hid the box, but that doesn't make it disappear, right? Just because, you know, I have a water bottle sitting on my desk right now. It's super cute. I'll show it to you. But like, just because I have this outside of the screen doesn't mean it suddenly disappears. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's just outside of the screen. You can't see it. So it's almost like think object permanence, but with your emotions and your emotional boxes. Some of you need to remember that just because you put an emotional box in a different room doesn't mean that it disappeared. Doesn't mean that you got rid of it or that you healed it. Okay? A lot of you need to take these boxes down and really start digging into them. And not digging into them in like the way I'm hearing it is like a surface level. You know, sometimes we have a tendency to look at something and oversimplify it because it's too painful, because it's too difficult, it's too messy. And Libra, it feels like you are a little bit of a victim of this. It feels like you do this a lot. You oversimplify things into like digestible quantities, but when you do that, you erase a lot of the history there, or like you erase a lot of what actually happened there and the important parts of it. You know, if I think back to, for instance, I had a horrible high school experience. I was bullied relentlessly. I was pushed down the stairs. I was physically assaulted. Lots of different things happened. But if I just put that in a box and go, oh, high school was tough for me. Do you understand now how it's reductive? How I'm taking away from my experience, from how horrific and traumatizing it really was, just by being like, oh, it was bad. By oversimplifying it, I erase my ability to feel it, okay? Some of you are falling into that trap. You're oversimplifying it, and by rights, you're almost robbing yourself of the space to experience it emotionally. You're kind of abandoning yourself a little bit here, okay? And I feel like a lot of you guys need to take this box down, open it up with whatever this is. You know, for a lot of you, it is a romantic connection from the past here. Take that box out, open it up, look at it, and really see it for what it is. This is really random. It's coming through, so I will bring it up. Trains. Some of you could really like trains, or maybe you liked trains as a kid. I don't know, but I just keep seeing trains. So maybe you took a train. Maybe you took a train. If you're a Libra who took a train recently, this is for you. Yeah, you've got the King of Wands here. You know, I feel like for some of you, the King of Wands, like I said, he's in your challenge and he's out here on the board now. King of Wands can be very charismatic, a smooth talker. You know, they're very good with their words. They're very good with, they can kind of talk their way in and out of anything, right? But the problem herein lies is that sometimes a King of Wands can have trouble keeping it in their pants. You know, King of Wands can be a little bit of a player energy, a little bit of a ladies' man, as they would say back in the day. And I feel like some of you dealt with that here and you put it in a box and you moved away from it. The problem is with the Sun and the Nine of Cups is you put it in the box, threw it in the closet and told yourself, this is fine, I'm happy. Are we, Libra? Are we actually happy? Or are we pretending that we're happy? Some of you swore off romantic relationships, I just heard really loud. You were like, okay, I will never let this happen to me again. Yeah, literally 4 of Swords. Like, I will never engage with this again. And as a result, it really limited your ability to, I know this is going to sound weird, but be triggered. And like I said in the beginning, actually, I can't remember if I said this for you or Gemini, the Gemini video, I can't remember. But it's almost like triggers show us the roadmap, right? So it's like by eliminating any chance of you being triggered by completely stepping out of the dating scene, you essentially just, again, buried it. Okay, you know, you've got the 4 of Swords here, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Hermit in the reverse. Some of you also are acting out of spite, I'm hearing, for a mother that, like, there could be a mother figure. It doesn't have to be a mother. Queen of Pentacles is my mom card, though, so this would be, like, a maternal energy that is, like, pushing you to come out of the Hermit mode. You know, with the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit in reverse, some of you could have parents that are like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? When are you getting married? And it's like, okay, leave it, babe. But I feel like the point of this is that by not being triggered, you never healed. And so this is what I mean by you may have a heartbreak from 6 years ago that totally took you out of the dating scene, but then because those triggers never unearthed themselves, you just buried them and buried them and buried them. And maybe 6 years later, now you're like, okay, let me come out of the dating scene, lovers in the challenge. Let me come out of the dating scene. Let me get back into it. And now all these triggers are resurfacing. And I feel like a lot of you were like, well, why is this coming up? I dealt with it 6 years ago. Babe, did we deal with it or did we hide from it? That's where this is really coming in. You know, this is a moment. Yeah, you have the Empress twice for some of you. And the Tower, for some of you, there's real conflicts here with the mother. Okay, you need to release expectation from mom, you know, or at the very bare minimum, I'm hearing from my own guides, Libra, is stand up for yourself at the bare minimum. Okay, when this person keeps peppering you about when are you getting back out there, when are you getting married, when are you giving me children, just literally, you got to put them in their place. Be like, hey, it's really inappropriate for you to keep asking me this. Stop. Enough is enough. You know, I feel like for a lot of you here, it's like, how do I say this? My guides want me to use like such a weird example. So if you, let's say you don't go to the dentist for many, many years, you know, let's say you don't go to the dentist for 10 years and you're like, well, I brush my teeth twice a day and I floss. There should be no problems here, but I haven't gone to the dentist in 10 years. Then you go to the dentist and they're like, hey, you have 10 cavities. Just because you threw something in the closet, you know, with that 4 of Swords here, you were like, oh, I don't really need it. And you didn't look at it for those 10 years, doesn't mean that the consequences are still not real. Doesn't mean that the consequences are still not going to come up into your face. You know what I mean? With the Knight of Cups here in the challenge and the 7 of Wands, a lot of you thought that the problem was just the other person. It was, oh, I'm just dealing with bad people. Babe, it doesn't matter if you're dealing with bad people or good people. All it takes is one bad person to give us trauma. And then we have to heal it. Okay, it feels like for a lot of you guys here, you need to remember that I know this is really harsh, Libra. We are responsible for healing. We are not responsible for what was done to us. Let me make that real fucking clear. Okay? You didn't deserve what happened to you, and you are not responsible for it. What you are responsible for is picking yourself back up, is healing, and getting back out there. Okay? A lot of you have crippling trust issues now because of this person from the past. How we can start working on trust issues is maintaining, well, first making and then maintaining strong, healthy boundaries. Okay, Ace of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. A big way that you guys are going to start moving on from this is gauging who's going to put effort in versus who's not. With that Four of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles, Libra, I don't know who needs to hear this. I'm going to be real blunt about it. You gotta stop dating down. Okay, you are dating people, and I'm going to be mean for a second, that are not worthy of your time. Okay, and that's part of the problem here. With the Four of Cups, a lot of you guys you have such a fear of rejection because you've been rejecting yourself, that you don't chase after the people that are actually interested in you. Or you don't chase after the people you're actually interested in, and that's creating this world where you're like dating people that are not great for you, not right for you. If you're looking for us to settle down, get married, have a family, and you're dating people that are only in it for a hookup, what are we doing, babe? What's happening right now? We're looking for toothpaste in Home Goods. You may, on the off chance, find it, but the chances are so slim to none. I feel like you need to remember here that this is also a little bit of harsh, but I will say it. Your friends and your partners are a reflection of how you feel about yourself. Okay, so some of you, the core issue here is not the other people. The core issue is how you feel about you. We need to work on our self-esteem, and we need to work on our self-worth here. Okay, I am going to encourage you guys to go back to this person from the past. Not literally go back to them like romantically, but go back in time and think about what the leftover self-limiting belief is that this person gave you. Okay, I'm not attractive enough. It's always going to start with I am or I am not. Okay, I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not smart enough. And then you have to start healing that wound through things like mirror work, talk therapy. It's like a lot of you just thought, well, time heals the wounds. That's passive healing, babe. That's not active healing. We have to start active healing now. Okay? Do things to also make yourself feel better about yourself. I literally tell people all the time, customize your character. Get that nose ring. Get that head tattoo. Get the arm tattoo. Like, whatever it is for you. Everyone's going to be different. If you have hair, some of us don't, get extensions. Get that fuck-ass bob. Do what you need to do, Libra, to customize your character and feel good about yourself. And as you're doing that, you're going to work on the active healing of standing in the mirror, telling yourself that you are good enough, you are attractive, you are beautiful, you are worthy. Okay, that's where it starts. Because all of this big second fucking pile here is a smokescreen. Okay, there's deeper things at play than just what you're willing to, than just dating down. There's deeper than that here. Okay, so make sure you're going to the core. All right, your last two cards are Temperance and the Seven of Swords. I am also begging you to change the way that you think. Okay, our mental landscape shapes our physical world. So if your mental landscape is you telling yourself every day that you're going to get cheated on, that's your physical world. You're always looking for signs of cheating. You always think your partner is cheating. You never think you're good enough to be not cheated on. Okay? This all stems from the thoughts and the belief system of, well, I deserved to be cheated on. We need to start, I know this is really blunt, Libra, you need to start saying the ugly parts out loud. I know. Trust me, I know. It's scary and it's ugly for a reason. Because you need to acknowledge within yourself that it's not true. Okay? Let's see. Can I get some more about this, please? Yeah, Ten of Pentacles, because a lot of you are in this for the long haul. A lot of you aren't really in this for a quick fling anymore. Yeah, Three of Swords, but a lot of you are convinced you will literally never find it. What I will encourage you also to do is, the way my guides are giving this to me is a little interesting, but like you need to look in better places. So for instance, okay, let's use a really obvious example. If I want to date someone who looks like me, tattooed, pierced, etc., I need to go places where there are tattooed and pierced people. If I want to, let's say you got a piercing and it was like showing signs of being infected, would you go to Macy's and ask for help? No, you wouldn't. Okay. Would you go to a food restaurant and ask for help? No, you wouldn't, because you're not going to find people with piercings in that area. For those of you that are, you know, in the dating arena right now and looking for people with common ground, you need to look in the places that people with common ground go to. Do you know what I mean here? Like, you will never, like, we'll just run with the Macy's example. You'll never catch me in Macy's. If you ever planned to bump into me in person and try to talk to me, you would literally never ever see me in a Macy's ever. Okay? Same thing here. If you want to, let's say you love pottery. You're like, I want to find someone who shares common ground with me and loves pottery. Are you going to go to a yoga class? A martial arts class? No, you're not. A Mod Podge class? No, you're not. You need to go to a pottery class. Okay? I know it sounds really obvious, but you guys need to start finding community with people you have shared ground with. Okay? I don't know if I've ever talked about this on this channel yet, but like when the temperature cools and it's not 90 degrees out, you will catch me in the park jogging all the time because I love jogging. I am never going to go to a CrossFit class. If I want to find other joggers, I'd have to go to a jogging club or somewhere where there's shared ground here, okay? Some of you, it sounds really obvious, but it's harder. It's not harder, but like it needs to be put right in front of us sometimes, okay? With the Five of Cups here and the Ace of Swords, I also want to remind you that copy and pasting a past experience into the present, you're doing yourself a disservice. Every time you take what happened to you in the past and you copy it and you paste it onto present you, you're telling yourself a lot of things. I haven't grown. I haven't changed. The people around me haven't grown. They haven't changed. And this will repeat. Why would you say that to yourself? Why would you, the way my guides are saying this is really funny because it's really, and it's like really dramatic. Why would you doom yourself to an eternity of dating down? That's really what this is. Like, that's what they're making a joke out of it because that's what you're saying. You're telling yourself every single time that you are doomed to repeat that cycle because you haven't learned, you haven't grown up, you know? I feel like a lot of you need to acknowledge with that Five of Cups and the Ace of Swords that you have grown. You do have more knowledge now. You do have more life experience and you do have the tools to help yourself, okay? A big way, as someone, I'll share from personal experience as someone who's dealt with rejection issues my whole life, a big way that you, to stop rejecting yourself, you have to start like radically accepting yourself. Okay, so this goes back to as far as when I was in college and I wouldn't speak up. I wouldn't raise my hand. I wouldn't share in class because, like, well, what if someone doesn't have the same opinion as me? What if my opinion is wrong? What if I say something wrong? Nowadays, the way that you guys can really start working on it is by being authentically yourself and showing up and being like, hey, I love this. Oh, you don't like that? That's okay. You know, it is what it is. Okay, but with this Page of Cups here, you know, the way that you guys are going to start Working on your rejection wound is by figuring out the ways in which you're rejecting yourself and then working on how to accept yourself through that reality. Okay. Because it feels like as a lot of you enter the dating arena, more and more of these triggers are going to come up, and more you're going to be wondering, well, is it me? You know, also something my guides want me to say that, again, it's going to sound obvious, but like, you need to want people that want you. Okay. So like, the way my guides are explaining this is kind of funny, but like, if someone expresses want for you, desire for you, and your first thought is to run, you have an avoidant attachment style and you need to work on that and you need to look at it. Okay? But a lot of you don't go for people that want you because you're afraid. You won't admit it, but you're scared because if they want me, that means I have to do something about it. I have to show up. A lot of you need to start asking yourselves, do I actually want love right now? Or am I just favoring the idea of love? Okay? Because it is totally okay to admit that we are not in the headspace for it. Okay? There were many years in my mid 20s when I was busy and I was a hairdresser and I had my own business and I was healing from my own stuff that happened in my early 20s. I was not in the headspace for love. I knew it. And so I just didn't look for it. Instead, I built my empire over those years. You know, it is okay and acceptable to tell yourself, maybe I have to heal a little bit right now. Maybe it's time to focus on me. Okay? Because the way my guides want me to say this is also pretty brutal. I'm sorry to anyone who gets hit with this one. If you are someone that always has to be in a relationship, you need to ask yourself why. Okay? Codependency, for sure. For sure, codependency issues, without a doubt. But, okay. Let's get you an oracle card, Libra. As always, I will be using the Angelarium. This is my favorite oracle deck by far. This is what it looks like. Let's see. Libra. Mid-month for Libra. Can I get advice for Libra, please? Please? Every time I say please, this is going to date me. I think of the Amanda Show. What was her website? www.amandaplease.com. Okay, interesting card to get. Interesting. You have Gadriel, Angel of War. Interesting. Let's see. He is number 49, for those of you that are into numerology. Okay. This card is a reminder that you must be careful when offering yourself to a righteous cause. Blood draws a bright line. When committing yourself to violence, it's important to know why. There is no greater trust than following your fellows into battle, which is why it is important to interrogate that trust before the fighting starts. Once the bleeding begins, it may be difficult to staunch the flow. I feel like some of you are probably very angry. With that card coming out as your advice, I am going to really encourage you to filter out your anger in a very healthy way, okay? But also, for some of you, you need to ask yourself whether or not this whole am I ready to get back into the dating scene or I'm not ready is a smokescreen. Like this card says, like when you draw that line in the sand, it becomes a very easy tool for escapism to just be to write yourself off. Nope, I'm not ready. Boom. Then you avoid again. Okay? Sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all of the time, if you want success, you have to leave a comfort zone. Okay? So Libra, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's probably going to be the title of this video. All right, Libra, I will end your reading there. That is your mid-month check-in, all right? If this reading resonated with you, if my reading style resonates with you, do consider liking and subscribing. We are so close to 100 subscribers. So exciting. If you would like to interact with me on a live basis, I do go live reading tarot on Twitch 3 days a week. You can catch me Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST, as well as Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. EST. We do collective readings. We do personal readings on live too. So just a fun space, little community center to hang out in. So I hope to see you over there one day, Libra. But if not, that's okay. I will catch you guys in the next video. All right? Bye.